Shalom, shalom, Israel. It's your brother Ananias. Once again for A.O.I, the Awakening of Israel. And today we're going to just be bringing another class to you to edify the people, to edify our brothers and sisters of the nation of Israel. You know, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Yes, it's true. You are the chosen people of the book of the Bible. The Israelites, the nation of Israel. Yes, you are the Israelites, the chosen. And today, we're going to give you some edification. Lord's willing, it be edifying for you. Just give you a little bit of knowledge to push through and to use and apply to your everyday life. But before we get started, like always, and like each and every one of us should be doing every morning that we wake up, we got to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God of Israel, for the abundance of all things. For he is the creator of the heaven and the earth and everything therein. So we got to give praise and honor to him for all things at all times. So without further ado, we're going to get started on today's lesson. And today's lesson is called Never Trust Thine Enemy. It's not only a title, but it's a commandment. Yes, it's a commandment. And yes, you Israelite man, woman, and child, you have enemies. Whether it be of your own household, of your own people, or of the other nations. Yes, you have enemies. But the Bible gives you clear-cut instructions on how to deal with it. To show you what to look for and how to deal with it when these enemies arise or peek their head out the cloud or out the grass, how to deal with them, But the Bible says, never trust thine enemy. That's a commandment. So let's go to Sirach or Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 12, verse 10. And it reads, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. So is his wickedness. Who are these enemies that we speak of? Because according to our pastors, our teachers, our mothers and fathers, throughout our life growing up, we've been taught to love your enemy, or that you have no enemies, that we should love everybody. We should treat everybody equally, even though we know just from life experiences by itself, we know that we're not treated equally. So the same message that is pushed to us is not applied, especially by the other nations. Think about that. But it's a commandment given by the Most High God to his people. And it says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rust, so is his wickedness. So just like that pan or that skillet that you use to cook, the iron, just for an example, you use the cast iron skillet. You might use the damn fork and scramble your eggs in it. Over time, you start to remove the covering or the cast from it, where it begins to rust. So before you wash it or use it, you got to wash it, wash that rust off. But guess what? That rust always returns. And that's what it's saying about your enemy. For like as iron rust, so is his wickedness. So your enemy might be able to hide or wash off or wipe off their wickedness, but it's going to return. So you got to be mindful of those things. You got to know who your enemy is, first of all, And we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, just to clarify to the brothers and sisters watching, who is your enemy? Who is your enemy? That's what we're trying to find out right now. The Lord, matter of fact, let me start at Deuteronomy 28 and 46, because the Lord said, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So these curses that the Lord put on the Israelite, man, woman, and child, for being disobedient would be a sign upon them to show them in the latter days who they are and who they deal with. So we read in the Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, to find out who our enemies are. So let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68. And it reads, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. The word Egypt simply means bondage, house of bondage, slavery. That's what the Israelite man, woman, and child was doing in Egypt when Moses came to free them. They were slaves. They were in heavy bondage, rigorous bondage. So it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. So the Lord said, I done freed you out of Egypt. You walked out of here the first time. He said, the next time I'm going to send you into Egypt or into slavery. Again, next time it's going to be with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Meaning you will not see your homeland again. Contrary to your beliefs, Jerusalem is our homeland. The Israelite man, woman, and child, our homeland is not Africa, but Jerusalem. But the Lord said, because we didn't want to keep his commandments, that we would go into Egypt or slavery again with ships. Now, if you do just a little bit of research, you'll find that the Israelite man, woman, and child, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, are the only people on the planet that went to slavery through cargo slave ships. And it says, by the way where I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, meaning our homeland. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. No man shall redeem you or save you. So it says, when you got off those ships, that you will be sold unto your enemies. Now, all you got to do is a little research. Go to Google, type in slavery, and you'll see what pictures pop up. And you'll see also pictures of brothers and sisters, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians being sold on auction or slave auction blocks, sold to your enemy. And you'll see exactly who we were sold to. You weren't sold to each other. Get that understood right now. You can look throughout history, the movies that the enemy puts out to show you what he's done to you throughout your course of existence. Throughout your course of time being on the bottom of society, they show you what they have done to you. They show it to you in your history books from the time you're in the school to the time you exit. They show you during the month of February, which is so-called Black History Month or Israelite Month history. They show you on a constant basis what they have done to you, showing and proving to you, yes, we are your enemies. Though you stand in line and vote for me, though you do all these other things contrary to what the Bible says, yes, we are the enemy. Even though we smile in your face, shake hands with you, slap palms with you, pat you on the back, we're still your enemy. We know, you just don't. And that's the whole purpose of us doing this class today, to let you know that you do have enemies. But the Lord said, don't trust your enemies. So let me read 28 again. It says, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, meaning he's going to bring you into slavery again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. You won't see your homeland no more. And there you should be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So look through your history books, look on Google, look in your movies, 12 Years a Slave, Roots, Birth of a Nation. You'll see various movies regarding the slaves being brought over here on slave ships. Amistad is one, where they were brought over here on cargo slave ships, put on auction blocks, and sold to your enemies. So the Lord letting you know that you got enemies, and he letting you know the same enemies that brought you over here and the same ones that sold you, those are your enemies. Understand that. So let's go back to Sirach chapter 12, verse 10. And it reads, never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rust, so is his wickedness. Just as fast as somebody can wipe a smile off their face, it's the same way they do. Your enemy will do that. For what reason, though? Let's keep reading. It says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. Beware. Just like those signs you used to see growing up, they used to be on the fence outside the house. It says, beware of dog. You might be creeping, trying to sneak up, ring the doorbell, and run, throw eggs at the house, whatever. Folks used to do crazy things back in the day as children. But it said also, beware of the dog. But the Lord saying right here, though your enemy, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. Know your enemy, but don't trust him. Know your enemy. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass. and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. Yes, your enemy. They can cut their hair, they can put on different hats, different glasses, different disguises to try to make it seem as if they're not wicked or if they're your friend, you know. Just look back in your history. The same folks that was hanging your people in trees, castrating your brothers and sisters, burning them alive, you know, running into their houses, shooting them in the middle of the night, you know, flooding their towns and cities, are the same people that you shake hands with today. The same ones who put those white sheets over their heads with the holes and who were burning crosses in your yard. You know, those are the same ones who operate and run your cities, your councils, your politicians. You know, those are your mayors, your senators, your presidents, your generals, your police commissioners. You know, just because they can wipe that smile off or their evilness off does not make them your friend or your buddy. The Lord said they're your enemy because you were sold unto them. And no, you're not free. You're still slaves today. You still got to get permission from them to do everything. You know, your resources come from them. You need permission from them to lead a country, to drive down the street, to live in their neighborhoods, to open a business. You need their permission and their resources. That's only done because of our disobedience. Whether you want to believe it or not, that is what it is. But I'm going to keep reading. It says, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Now, something recent just passed. What do you call Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving? That's what we refer to it as. The killing of our brothers and sisters of the nation of Israel. You know, because those were our people, the so-called Native Americans and Hispanic brothers and sisters. They are all brothers and sisters of the nation of Israel, you know. But we just had a celebration somewhere. The world celebrates the so-called Thanksgiving, where they commemorate or have a yearly or annual celebration dating back to the first time they joined forces to eat a meal together. But through research, we find that that's a lie, you know. But the Lord is saying, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. So a perfect example of that would be exactly what happened during this Thanksgiving celebration. We know that the pilgrims, so-called pilgrims or Englishmen, came across the ocean to this land, to the new world, so to speak. And they couldn't survive. Half of them died on the trip over here. And when they got here, they were diseased. They could barely even get off the boat. So when they got off the boat, they couldn't even fend for themselves. Where the native Indians or the natives had to help them, basically show them how to grow crops, how to fish, you know, how to do basic survival skills in life, you know. But as soon as they were nourished enough, when they started learning how to grow crops, how to fish, how to hunt in this new world, they stood up and they overthrew them and stood up in his place, stood up in their land, our land, stood up in the land and did what? Overthrew them. Now we don't know it to be a native land. We call it America. And they call it the 13 colonies that started off America. Understand what's going on. It says, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. No, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. Is that not what they always do? Come into your land and come in there, especially in the more modern days, come in there with a missionary program, saying they're trying to help, send doctors in with their simpleton way of dealing with problems and issues, claiming that it's pharmaceuticals. When you actually think and look in history, they've never solved or cured anything. They've only added on and made things worse. But like I said before, they come through in different countries, different cultures with their missionary missions, trying to push white Jesus and also push their doctrines, you know, various different religions. That's why we have so many today. But the Lord is saying, don't let them sit at your seat because you're going to try to take your seat. And that's exactly what they do. Come in, play like they need your help, or they're your friend, and get close and understand and familiarize themselves with what's going on in your culture, your land, see what type of resources you have, what type of knowledge you have, and then stand up in your land, stand up against thee, and take your seat. That's what they do. That's what they've been blessed to do. And they've been doing it throughout history since they've been in rulership, since the Renaissance era. We need to pay attention and understand these things just by doing a small smidgen of research. He said, and thou be at the last, remember my words and be pricked therewith. So he said, the moment that you start to trust him, you're going to be pricked. Just like the doctor trying to prick you with that needle to give you that shot that they claim is going to help you. You know, I'm going to keep reading. It said, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent? Exactly what we're talking about. The Lord giving you warning. He letting you know who your enemies are, and he telling you not to trust them. But you want to do your own thing. You say, I like the way they live, and I like their lifestyle. I like the way they dress, how they talk, how they live. So you want to go against the Most High God, and you end up getting pricked. You get bit by that serpent. Understand that. It says, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent? A charmer. Just think about those old TV shows and movies that you used to see where they had the Indian man sitting there with the turban on his head, with the jewel in his head, and he's playing the flute, the clarinet, or whatever, and he got the snake coming up out the basket. Now, is anybody gonna feel bad for that man if he get bit by that snake? No. Why? Because he playing around with snakes. It's that simple. So the Lord is saying the same thing right here. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts? So you going and you playing with these wild beasts, these serpents, and you get snared, just like you see a lot of kids and people getting snatched up in the zoos trying to get close to these animals. They still wild beasts, but they getting up close trying to take pictures or jump in the cage with them and get mauled to death. Who is going to feel sorry for them? Think about that. I'm going to keep reading. It says, so one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? So you knowing brothers and sisters is out here robbing banks, stealing, thieving. When they get caught and you with them, who going to have pity on you? Because they're going to let you know you knew what he was doing or she was doing. You knew all about it. Yet and still you kept company with them. So when you get caught with them, right along with them, and you get the same judgment, the Lord has said, nobody's going to feel no pity for you. Understand that. Verse 15, for a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fail or fall, he will not tarry. He won't stay. That's your enemy. Enemies stick close to you. Soon as trouble or times get hard, they gone. He ain't going to stay there for you. He ain't going to have your back. Basically, is what it's saying. It says, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. You know, we've all dealt with enemies and not even realized their character traits. But the Lord saying right here, an enemy speaks sweetly with his lips. That goes for women as well. Speak sweetly. Tell you the things that sound good to you. Yeah, we can do this, we can do that. Even your boss man or boss lady speak sweet words to you. Yeah, we love what you're doing. Yeah, stick around. We'll move. Yeah, you can grow in this company. You can do this, you can do that. Meanwhile, they just looking at you in the back of their mind, trying to throw you in a pit. How am I going to get this brother or sister where I can have them working relentlessly for me without them even knowing that I'm trying to keep them down rather than push them up or build them up? How can I throw them in a pit? Whether it be in your own family, you know, seeing you push forward, they're trying to figure out how to bring you down. Our people like to call it the crab in a barrel effect, but it goes deeper than that. Let me keep reading though. It said, he will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Think about that throughout history. How many times have you seen the so-called white man go out hunting, but it's never good enough? You know, it used to be to go hunt for food. Now it's for sport, and he's never satisfied with it. Think about that. That's why they keep making different variations of the guns and weapons. You know, you used to make a rifle just to go shoot deer bears, whatever the case may be. But now you want to make a gun that can shoot a mile away, 2 miles, 1,000 miles away, shoot from one end of the planet to the other, control drones while you sitting in your damn your office at work and you using your drone to kill somebody in China. That's what they do now. When they find an opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. That's why you can go in some of their homes and they got 10 damn deer heads stuck on the wall. They ain't satisfied with it. They got a trunk full of damn guns and rifles. For what? You can only use one at a time. But they got a whole trunk load, a boatload of different weapons because they never satisfied with blood. I'm going to keep reading. It said, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. So it says, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. Think about that. Soon as something bad happened to your enemy right there, oh man, what happened? Knowing they the root cause of it. It said, and though he pretend to help thee, he shall yet undermine thee. He ain't trying to help you. Just like the brothers and sisters who were affected by the damn hurricanes, Katrina being the first one that I could think of right now. Hurricane Katrina back in the day, a couple years back. Soon as it happened, our folks was down there hollering, we need help, we need help. They set up FEMA camps. We thought that they were actually looking out for us. No, they were undermining us. The same folks that say was preaching prosperity messages and doctrines, saying we love everybody, everybody loves them. Perfect example would be Joel Osteen. Had the big church, the old Houston Rocket Stadium, that he turned into a church. When Hurricane Katrina came, he wouldn't allow them to come into the stadium for refuge. Why? But he's still there with his Bible in the air saying, if you said this, I believe you've been saved. But at the same time, not willing to help, not willing to push and do anything that's necessary to help the people. When they needed somewhere to stay, he was like, hell no, not in my place. You can go somewhere else. I'll send some food there, but I ain't going to help you. I got a stadium, so what? He's looking for an opportunity to push forward, thinking that he's helping you. He said he will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. These are the things that go on when dealing with your enemy, even in your own family, your friends, your circle of friends, your so-called friends at work, shaking their head. Yeah, brother, you right. Yeah, that's good. As soon as you turn your back, what are they doing? Slandering your character, whispering about you, saying who this nigga think he is, who this woman thinks she is. They ain't no better than me. Who is that? Who? These are the things you got to deal with when dealing with your enemies. Because your brothers and sisters going to be in alignment with you. They're going to be on one accord with you, trying to build you up, trying to push you forward, trying to make things better. But you got some that don't live by that crab in the barrel effect. But it's up to us to read the word of the Most High God to understand who our enemies are and some of their characteristics or their traits. Let's see what Christ said. Let's go to Matthew 12 and 25. Matthew 12 and 25. We want to see what Christ got to say about it. We Christians supposed to be. That's what a lot of Christians say. We Christ-like. Well, a lot of them say that, but they don't do anything that Christ said. He say, keep the commandments. No. They done away with. He said, that's the only way you're going to get the kingdom by keeping the commandments. But you reject it. Think about how foolish that is. Matthew 12 and 25. And I'm going to read that to 29. It says, and Jesus knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. And every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Letting them know that a house divided will not stand. Understand that. Said, and if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? Understand that too, Israelite man, woman, and child. If your house is divided, how can it stand? He says, and if I by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore, they shall be your judges. He said, but if I cast out devils by the Spirit of God, then the kingdom of God has come unto you. So he asking him a question. If I'm from the devil and I'm casting out devils, how the house gonna stand? But if I'm from of God, then that must mean the kingdom of God is at hand. You know, you got the good and the evil. Verse 29, it says, or else how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house? That's a good question. Think about that. Before anybody robs anything, they always think first to say, how can we overtake them? We know what their strengths are, or maybe we need to do a little research to find out what their strengths are in order to overtake them. You know, that's one of the things that they did against the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian men, women, and children. They figured out the strength was in the man. So their first objective was to do what? Destroy the image of the man and to remove him from the household. And that's what they've been doing successfully for decades now, for hundreds of years, trying to remove and destroy the male image, because that is the strength of the family. That's just one thing that they think about, one part of the strategy to overtake and bind that house. Let me read it again. It says, this is Matthew chapter 12, verse 29. Or else, how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods? The word spoil means destroy. Except he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house, destroy his house. They do this all the time. They study you, whether you know it or not. Studying you all the time. You can see it in your cell phones, your social media. They study you. They have algorithms put together to put certain videos or commercials or ads on your phone because of the things that you search. So they study you, you know, study to find out what you like and what you don't like. And then they feed it at you, you know. Once they figure out what you like and what your strengths and weaknesses are, then it's time to attack. It's no different than a damn NBA game or NFL game. They study, they do film work, showing you how much work they'll put in to find out what type of information they need in order to conquer you or to win. We need to understand that. You know, let's go to 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. And it reads, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So the Lord is saying, unless you want the devil, Satan, Lucifer, your enemy, to get an advantage above you, you need to be not ignorant of his devices. You need to be aware of your enemy. You need to know your enemy, but never trust him, so he don't get an advantage over you, you know. Don't be ignorant of that, you know. Matter of fact, let's go back to Sirach. Let's go to chapter 8, verse 19. And it reads, open not thine heart to every man, lest he requite thee with a shrewd turn. Open not thine heart. If you don't know by now, the heart in the Bible is considered, or is talking about your mind, always referring to your mind. So it says, open not thy mind to every man, lest he requite thee with a shrewd turn. What does the word shrewd mean? Let's go check that out right quick. Let's see what this is. Let's see what shrewd is. Shrewd, the definition of shrewd. It guy's marked by clever, discerning awareness and hard-headed acumen. It says severe, hard, sharp, piercing, mischievous, abusive, shrewish, ominous, dangerous. I like number 3. It says, open not thine heart or your mind to every man, lest he requite thee with a shrewd turn or a mischievous turn. or he do something out the way, basically using that information against you. Don't give your thoughts and your concerns to somebody that you don't even know. Don't do it to every man. A lot of us love to complain and just pour our guts out to anybody who's willing to listen, whether it be your pains or your goals. Don't open your mind to everybody. That's what the Lord is telling you, especially when dealing with your enemy, because you have to be aware as to who your enemy is. You know, understand that. But the Lord is saying, never trust thine enemy, you know, because they'll do some unthinkable things that you won't even take into consideration. You know, let's go to Proverbs 26 and 24. The Bible speaks about your enemy all throughout the Bible, constantly. Constantly. Meaning what? It's important that you know what you're doing and who you're dealing with. You know, let's go to Proverbs 26 and verse 24. It says, he that hateth disassemble with his lips and layeth up deceit within him. He that hateth disassemble with his lips. Your enemy hates you, and what do? They hate you and they dissemble you with their lips, speaking them smooth words to you, getting you off guard so they can disassemble you or build you up in a hateful spirit or a lustful spirit or untrustworthy spirit, to have you looking at your other brother and sister sideways so that they can dismantle your family, your friendship, your relationship, whether it be with your husband or wife, your brother, sister, your co-workers, to keep you divided. You know, it says, he that hateth disassembleth with his lips and layeth up deceit with him. We see it all the time in these movies and TV shows. You know, you have a group of friends, for instance, and one might like the other, but this individual is dating this person that he likes. So rather than just chuck it up as a loss and realize that his friend is dating this person, he'll go start spreading lies to dissemble that relationship between the two. You know, just say you got I'll use this example from back in the day, a TV show that most of us are familiar with called Saved by the Bell. You had the lead guy, which was Zach. You had another guy, which was Slater. And you had three different females on there. All of them were the main cast of the show. But, you know, at one point in time, Zach was liking, I guess, Kelly. And Slater wanted her as well. So they used to compete to try to win her over. But at sometimes, you know, they were sow deceitful seeds just so they could get their chance to deal with that woman or with that girl at that time, making the female to not trust either one of them while they're trying to deceitfully win her over. That's the same thing that your enemy will do to you. But you got to be aware of these things, you know. It said, when he speaketh fair, meaning speaking beautiful, speaking words that feel good to your ear, you know. It says, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Remember, your heart is your mind. It says, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. His wickedness will be showed before the whole congregation. It don't matter how much you try to conceal it or try to hide it, eventually it will show itself. Understand that. It says, whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. That's why you got to know who your enemies are. You got to understand the game that they play, the strategies that they playing, you know, and understand what they're trying to do. Because most of the enemies, especially of the nation of Israel, they're planning on your downfall. They're trying to make sure that you stay on the bottom, that you fall into those pits. But when you keeping God's commandments and doing what's required of you, guess what? They'll fall in that pit. Rather than you fall into their traps, they fall into the pit that they dug for you. And that's a story or a repetitive thing throughout the Bible. When you read, you'll understand that various people went through different situations where the enemy tried to plot against us and end up having that same thing returned on their own head. It happened with Mordecai and Esther, the history of Susanna. Who else? The other nations who tried to come up against us when we was on our way to the promised land. And see Daniel and the lion's den, the three holy children in the fiery pit or furnace. And that's another thing that you need to realize about the Most High God. Everybody always think that he smiles and rainbows, but when you actually do a little research or pay attention to what goes on in the Bible, you'll realize that every time somebody was saved, somebody had to die. Think about that. Just like I just mentioned, Daniel in the lion's den. The same people that made those stories or those lies up to get him thrown into the lion's den, what happened? They end up being fed into that lion's den. The same one who came up with the crafty counsel to try to get the three holy children thrown into the fiery furnace, what happened? They stayed faithful, but the enemy was thrown into that fiery furnace. Understand that the Lord is nothing to play with. That's why they called him the great and terrible Lord. He's a just guy. You do evil, you reap in evil. You kill, you will be killed. Understand that. So stop taking the enemy's words and running with it. Trust in the Lord. Don't trust in your enemy. And I want to show a quick video right quick. I got two of them to show you. Just to show you exactly what we're talking about today when dealing with your enemy. Now, this is a video basically showing you how the enemy will try to become your friend so that they can stand up in your place. These are 7 relationships between humans and animals. Wild beasts. Think about this.
Some people love animals more than they love their own families. If you've never heard of the Beast Buddies, prepare for a world of big egos, big cats, and big money. Because these animal owners are so obsessed with their exotic pets, they risk sanity and safety to live together. These are people who brought some of the most dangerous or unusual animals into their homes, or left society to go and live with them completely. We're not sure if these guys qualify as animal owners, or if it isn't the other way around. In any case, today, we're talking men who've joined wolf packs, grannies who've moved in with bears, and even a man who's adopted a pet alligator for emotional support. So, hold on tight and get ready to meet the 7 craziest beast buddies in the world.
So, I showed you that just to show you how Esau will put his life on the line just to be able to get near to you, just to get within your circle, to find out how you operate. Pay attention to that. They'll go out. Now, as we see, they dealing with lions. They dealing with pythons that can swallow them up, that can squeeze the life out of them. Lions that are one swipe of the paw will kill you. But they trying to figure out how to take down a strong man's house. In order to conquer the lion, they got to figure out how he acts, how he moves, how he maneuvers, what he likes, what he doesn't like, how he controls everything. Once they figure that out, then they can conquer. Pay attention to that. These are the things that they do, whether it's with animals or with people. And that's what they did with our Native Indian brothers, Hispanic brothers, so-called black man, and even the other nations, for that fact. They call it colonization. They move in, send some people to go spy, whatever you may call it, send them in there to find out what's going on, what resources are available, and then they come back with the military and take over, slaughter, and put in their doctrine or their way of living. That's a constant theme, a reoccurring thing done by the enemy. We got to be aware of what's going on. But this next video is exactly what I was saying happens when they get in and stand up in your place. This is what they do once they learn your weaknesses.
Hey, welcome to the Backwoods Gourmet. Today, I'm going to show you how to clean and cook one of these guys. Yep, bushy tail.
Wrong video.
Tree.
How would this possible? Yeah, that's it. This is a video. Now, this is a video that Esau, the so-called white man, put together called 140 Kill Shot Hunting Compilation. It's a video compiled of them shooting and killing and knocking off different animals. Kill shots, you know. These are the things that they do, like I was explaining earlier. Killing from a distance, killing with various types of weapons, trying to stand up in their position, take their seat, be able to take out the enemies to hunt for sport, or just to take their land and grab their resources and put up their own malls, stores, housing communities. These are the things that they do. I'm going to just play a little small clip of it just to show you how they do. Once they gain your trust and you start trusting in the enemy. This is just from an animal perspective. Check it out, though. Why are you shooting them up? Look at this. Wow. Sophisticated weaponry. This was their blessing, to be blessed with the sword. Look at this. You know, you can watch this on your own, but it was just a small video clip just to show you how you can't trust your enemy. You know, they can smile in your face, shake your hand, pat you on the back. That doesn't mean that they're your friend. We need to understand that. You know, we have enemies, Israel. We got to understand and know what's going on. You know, otherwise the things that happen will continue to happen with us. You know, let's go to Psalms 118 and 8, verse 8. Psalms chapter 118 and verse 8. And it reads, "It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man." You got to trust in the Lord, because man will fail you every time, let you down, however you want to look at it. But the Lord is always there. He's going to give you what you need when you need it. You know, He's going to work that thing out for you, especially when you keeping His commandments. You know, don't forsake this information. Don't let it go in one ear and out the other. Understand that it's important and it's for you, you know, for you to proceed and live a better life and to understand who you're dealing with and how to deal with them. Your enemies, never trust them, but know them. Understand that. Trust in the Lord. Let's go to Matthew chapter 10 and 28, because a lot of us, we tend to trust in the enemy because we know no better. We're ignorant of the fact. And because we fear what they can do to us. But listen to what the Lord say. This is Matthew chapter 10, verse 28. It says, "And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell." Understand that. Don't just fear man because he can pull out a pistol. You need to understand who your God is. The Most High God of Israel, you know, and of Israel alone. He said, when you keep his commandments, you ain't got nothing to worry about. He is your protection. Trust in him. Cleave unto him. Call upon the name of the Lord, you know, in your times of trouble and need. You know, you can't go far enough exalting him, thanking him, building him up, or not really building him up, but giving him credit his just due. You know, can't trust in your enemy because your enemy never will, never has, as you can see, been in your corner. So this class was just put together to show you that the Lord said never trust thy enemy. Know who your enemy is. Move with the right mindset, day in and day out, trusting in the Lord rather than the enemy. Don't even trust in yourself. You know what I'm saying? The Bible tell you that as well. Proverbs 3 and 5. Lean not on your own understanding, but trust in the Lord. You know? So I'm Brother Ananias, and this has been another moment with A.O.I, the Awakening of Israel. And we say shalom.